Welcome to UFO Buster Radio, episode 306. I actually just realized that the signal is pretty fucking bad right now, so it will probably sound like SHIT for you guys who are, high fidelity folks who have those fancy Apple iTunes cordless earbuds that needs insurance in case one gets lost. I don't know. I'm just telling you. The signal is fucked. I mean, it's not good at all. I'm looking at it right now. And I don't understand why. I don't. Not one bit. You might hear bugs in the background snoring. Let me just stay quiet for a second. Well, I said his name, so he feels like I threw him under the bus. So he's back here again. Luckily for me, so far, I have not smelt the nastiness, the corrosive gas that he was putting out yesterday to the point where, that was him, to the point where, I'm telling you, my nose and throat were killing me. He was hotboxing me in here. It was really bad. It was terrible. How in the hell does this little dog put out so much toxicity out of that small butthole? I don't know. It is ridiculous. And how does he snore so fucking loud? He's an enigma. A complete enigma. See, he stopped because I'm talking about him. I'm talking trash, Bugs. I'm talking trash. You keep your butthole closed because I'm sick of it. Now, before we start the podcast for today, because we have a few things to say. Number one, the oldie but goodie intro was thanks to Professor T. That's for you, bud. Professor T sent me an email today, but we'll get into his email for a second, in a second. But I want to give another few shout-outs to a few people. Number one, Ricky B. out of Abilene, Texas. He says, I love the podcast, love the show. It's all for you, Ricky. You didn't know this, but I was doing a podcast for you and mine. The blue-collar folks out of Abilene, Texas. Who else would I do it for? David G., always interacting with the podcast on everywhere, Facebook and Twitter. Shout out to David G. Also, there's some folks who apparently like some recent photos. Heidi L., Dahlia M., Joshua K., Susan Ann Lane E. Susan, can you pick a name? Can you just pick one name? Can help me out here. I can't say all those names. It takes a lot of my podcasting time. Robert D. Now, Robert D., I'm only saying Robert D. because how many freaking consonants do you have in your last name? That's fucking ridiculous. And there's a few other people like Joey R. Thank you very much. Of course, the one and only Ronnie Dawson. Can you guys hear Bugs? There's no way that I'm the only one hearing this. God dang it, Bugs. Go to the living room or something. And there's a few other people, like Jim B., Lisa H. There's no way you guys don't hear that. Frank from Florida. Thank you, Frank, for all you do, especially on Instagram. If you follow Frank, he's got some great pictures. He's a bit of a motorcyclist, if you will. Bridget Hoff went fucking apeshit just recently, just liking a bunch of UFO Buster Radio Facebook page stuff, so thank you for that. Bernard Meyer. Somebody called somebody Sunshine? Sunshine Ray. Now they really gave you a great name. Sunshine Ray. Wow. How the hell did that happen? Sunshine Ray. Thank you. Thank you very much. 2NY. You know who you are. Thank you again for hanging out with UFO Buster Radio. David A. Thank you again. And, the list goes on and on. John D. Thank you. Gijo Joseph. Is that really your fucking name, or is that your writer's name? I don't know what the hell that is. Jordan Whitley, John Galvin. There are plenty of folks out there, and the names continue on and on and on. Lisa H., Chris B., Richard H., John G., Erica Cole F. I can go many places with that one, but I won't. I'll just keep that to myself. There's a ton of people out there, and I want to thank every single one of you, and I wish I could. As of lately, people are reacting, well, not lately, probably since the summer, a lot of people are reacting to the UFO Buster Radio podcast page on Facebook and Twitter. Not so much Instagram, because Bugs kind of took over that shit. And yeah, Guter, he is constantly sowing logs, because that's what he's do. He likes to sow logs every night, every day. I swear to God, I don't understand. He only gets up to eat and fart. That's about it. That's his life right now. He is a Boston Terrier. He's about 4 years old, maybe going on 5. I think they lied to us. But he's headed into early retirement. And he's about to kill us all with all the chemical stuff that he's spewing out of his butthole. It's if I could just bottle that. If I could just bottle it and sell it to someone as the new element for interstellar space travel, I mean, I think I could do it. Bob Lazar, I've got your new isotope for that element 151. Honestly, I prefer that that 151 come in the form of Bacardi, but Moscovium would work just as well. Besides that, Professor T, let's go over to Professor T. Professor T sent me an email, right? He sends me emails once in a while. But this one was about the one story that I did about the deal. The deal about that NASA robot, right? That there's no date. I haven't found a real date for this. It's supposed to be the ice robot that's going to be dropped on Enceladus and Titan eventually. And they're going to go in. They're going to try to find a hole somewhere to drop this under the ice. It's going to drop in there. It's going to float, because part of the name of this thing is that it identifies the fact that it's going to float. Because it's going to be something that needs to pretty much, it needs to stay in between the ice and the water. That's what it is, right? Because according to NASA, a lot of places on the planet Earth that they realize that you can see signs of life usually hang around between that layer, between the water and the ice. I don't fucking know. I don't watch nature. I don't watch all these things, the Blue Planet and shit like that. I don't watch that in order to come to this conclusion. But that's what they're saying. What Professor T noted was that my conclusion about that they need to do a little more. Why in the flying fuck are they going to put a 1080p camera? I think it's actually 2, because it's not a pirate. They're going to put 2 1080p cameras on this Lego setup that they have, sink it beneath the ice. If they can fucking get there, there's still debatable that they can. And then they're going to shoot video. But, and here's where, as they say, the rub. Here's the rub for the whole situation. Back in 304, I talked about the Buoyant Rover for under ice exploration, because they're so clever with the names. And the acronym spells BRUIE, Bruy. They need to go back. They need a bunch of guys with the really dark glasses, the thick glasses with the pocket protectors, just for the fucking acronyms. Because this Bruy, what the fuck is that? Thanks, Bugs. I mean, who cares about that? All right, so it's buoyant. So fucking what? But here's the thing. This deal is supposed to look at these things. It's going to have scientific instruments to look at parameters related to life. Hashtag, okay. They're looking at dissolved oxygen, water, salinity, pressure, and temperature. But here, let me go back. I'm going to go back. Yeah. You guys know what movie that is. I gave you a flashback, but it was manual, not filled with effects. It's a manual flashback. So I'm going back to this, right? I'm doing the what's that, the star hands or whatever the fuck that is. And so I'm going back in time and I'm looking at an article that was published by an organization that speaks volumes to the fact that this brewery is full of shit. The brewery plan is brewing a bunch of bullshit. Here's what the article says. Data from NASA's Cassini spacecraft reveal complex organic molecules originating from Saturn's icy moon Enceladus, strengthening the idea that this ocean world hosts conditions suitable for life. Research results show much larger, heavier molecules than ever before. And when they say ever before, they're talking about ever before in our solar system, outside of our own planet. That is what Cassini identified and what was reported by NASA.gov itself July of last year. Yes. So why in November are we going to plan a underwater rover to go up to Enceladus to try to identify elements related to life? Cassini already fucking did that. Why are you wasting? This is not the country of the people for the people. It is not. Because if the people in general looked at this rubber dickery on paper or in a forum or in a way that they could understand it, they would say, fuck you. Give me my money back. Let's get someone else to get their ass up there. Just be quiet. If you've already identified that in no other situation other than the planet Earth were there ever identified complex molecules the size of what we're seeing on Earth in another celestial body in our solar system, why in the flying fuck would you take your Lego robot with 1080p cameras and dump it under the ice? To look for what? Makes no sense to me. Not one bit. And people think I rant a lot. But, the proof is in the pudding, as I say. Look at this. Just look at it. Go ahead and search Cassini Enceladus and look at the timeline. And tell me if they do not have enough time to adjust to the fact that that stupid brewery robot shouldn't even exist in the form that they're saying it's going to be. It should be several steps ahead. It should be actually testing for life that may exist there, because according to them, there's enough complex molecules for it to actually be happening. That's for Professor T. And that's what it is. I did send him an email back talking about the reason why they feel. There's actually two reasons. So they have these geysers up on Enceladus that they call the Tiger geysers. Apparently, they believe that the area around the Tiger geysers is a lot of thin ice. So it should be easy to find a place to drop this stupid brewery into the water somehow, because they believe there's water. Why do they believe there's water? Because there is a cyclical expanding and shrinking of the ice. Kind of like, like it happens. It gets colder, it gets warmer. Ice expands, ice detracts. And the other way for that to happen, because ice is just not going to take and expand to bigger ice, they're thinking it's water. Water underneath the ice that's freezing, and so it's pushing out. And when it melts, it contracts the ice because it's under it. So if NASA, if you know all of this, why? Why are we wasting time with debris? That makes no sense. But I got two other articles of continued rubber dickery when it comes to space. One of them is like, it's like reminds me of those commercials. I should have had a V8. Like really, like all the people in this particular space that you see, like just yesterday, they thumped their head and said, "Oh, I should have had a V8." This is why I go through this. It is just, it's madness. It's madness. But check out this song, because why not? It turns out that in this particular story, this might come as a shocker to many of you. And I want you to hold on to your big girl panties and really be strong with what I'm about to tell you. I want you to sit down, stand up, run in circles, do some sit-ups, push-ups, whatever makes your anxiety less, I don't know, potent, I guess. I mean, don't chew your nails or nothing like that. Don't pick at your feet. But just hold on. I'm about to give you some news, and it is pivotal. It is groundbreaking. India admits its moon lander crashed, cites problem with braking thrusters. Yeah, it was about 2 months ago that the Chandrayaan-2 moon lander kind of bit the dust. And so many people who watch stuff like this, it's hard for me to even report this. I feel like I'm in a twilight zone. I feel like Rod Serling's about to come out and take over the podcast. Yeah, he's about to say, yeah, it's a twilight zone. Apparently, India finally decided to officially admit that their moon rover bit the dust. That apparently, and here's the thing, they won't even say that it crashed. They wouldn't even go that far. They said they had a braking problem. They say apparently it had a hard landing. No, stop fucking around. Stop. No. A hard landing would be like a 68-year-old male who took one too many blue pills and then he fell over. That's a hard landing. Yeah. You guys need to stop beating around the bush and just admit that your hard landing is a full-on crash. And that's what it is. I mean, come on, just admit it. It's not that hard. It's okay. It's okay. You crashed the bitch. You lost the country's money, and you're blaming it on poor braking rockets or thrusters. It's okay. It happens to some of the most accomplished spacefaring nations on the planet. So if for some reason you only equipped it with one rocket and it should have had 6, we understand. At least it took off and made it by the moon and literally made its mark on the moon. So historically, it made its mark. And probably a lot more significant than if it landed, to be honest. So it's okay. Just accept the fact that it's gone. It shouldn't take 2 fucking months to actually officially say that your fucking rover crashed. This is the craziest freaking story. In a newly released details from India's attempted lunar landing on September the 6th, the Indian government has revealed that the Vikram craft hard landed, and again, unless there was like a bunch of Geritol-laced old folks hopped up on blue pills, there was no hard landing. The shit just crashed. On the moon, because of problems with its braking thrusters, until now the Indian Space Research Organization had disclosed only that it had lost contact with the probe. I thought a few weeks later, there was another moon orbiter satellite that actually took pictures of this shit at the crash site. And even with that, why did it take this long to just say we had a hard landing and we loved every minute of it? Bada bing, bada boom. The update was announced by Jitendra Singh. He is the Minister of State for the Department of Space. In a written response to the Lok Sabha, the lower house of the India's parliament, the news was first reported by SpaceNews. Yeah, back in fucking September. News travels fast over at SpaceNews and everywhere else in the world, But once it tries to permeate India, it just slows down. It just like fucking takes 2 months to get real news anywhere over there. Is what I'm assuming. According to them, the first phase of descent was performed nominally from an altitude of 30 kilometers to 7.4 kilometers, which is about 18 miles to 4.5 miles above the moon's surface. Singh wrote, describing the lander's descent, in which the craft slowed from 5,521 feet per second to 1,683 meters per second to 479 feet per second, which is 146 meters per second. What the fuck you talking about, Singh? Nobody needs his numbers. Just admit the shit crashed. Stop fucking rubber dicking us with all these numbers. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. During the second phase of the descent, the reduction of velocity was more than designed value, according to Singh. Due to this deviation, the initial conditions at the start of the fine braking phase were beyond the design parameters. As a result, Vikram hard landed with the blue pills, embedding its wanker into the moon's surface permanently within 500 meters of the designated landing site, Singh said. Okay. I still don't understand what it takes 2 fucking months to admit that you fucking crashed the damn craft. I don't even understand why this is news right now. Like, everyone outside of India kind of figured out the thing crashed. But Space.com is actually reporting this because apparently Space.com didn't know it either. Like, we need official word. We need the guys that put this together to let us know that it crashed. You know, and then you got some orbital, like, moon reconnaissance satellite going over, taking, like, freaking beauty shots of this thing. Choo, 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 choo. In 3D, mapped it out. Like, if you run Google Moon right now, the fucking thing that crashes is there. It's by, you could, like, take the little moon person, put it next to the road that runs by it, by the gas station on the moon, and you'll see the fucking thing is crashed. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Why would it take so long for you to admit that you fucked up? Maybe the guy that was working on the thrusters was taking too many blue pills. And so therefore, there was a thrust okay, but it wasn't equipped on your lander. I'm just saying. 2 months, really? Come on. There's no conspiracy here. Not a single bit. If you want to read more about what Singh had to say to the parliament, click on the link in the description. Checks it out because it's important for you to know the truth. Because the truth is out there, and you don't want to be a liability.
Looking back at the good times before it all went down. Climbed right up on the hillside, a different view of my life. You left me running on and on, but I don't care, would you let me
I'm sitting here with a 36-ounce tumbler, insulated, that many people call the Yeti, filled with vodka and Coke. And, I'm listening to the song, by the way. You guys hear it. I do as well. And I'm sitting to this liability song, and I'm thinking, what am I going to play for Thanksgiving? Because, chances are I'm not going to be on live. But I do want to put together like a collection of podcasts that happened in the past. Things that I should be thankful for, I guess. It's a thankful day and shit. So stuff to be thankful about. That's what I'm going to try to do, is to put together maybe about 4 or 5 hours of previous podcast episodes that I should be thankful about. A lot of you are not going to be thankful about most of them, because that's the way it fucking works out, right? The things that you think people will be thankful about is not exactly what they are. And that's the way it goes. Like I said before, the month of December, I'm going to try my best in order to get folks to come on here and talk to us. At least 3 to 4 different interviews. That's what I'm shooting for, because people get busy during the holidays and they don't like talking about being probed. They try to keep a happy mindset. But I'm going to try to get that done. We'll see what happens. We'll see what turns up when I try to shake loose the Facebook groups for folks that are 4.25 probed. Let's get into this last news article, because, it's another doozy. Earlier in the week, we talked about a professor emeritus, University of Ohio, that decided to pull on us, to pull on us the pareidolia move. Now, I will say this: unlike Pareidolia Pete, this particular person is speaking from decades of experience, and that's where I think you draw the line, right? Pareidolia Pete has no fucking experience in the shit he talks about. All he does is he looks at images on NASA pictures and shit like that, internet, and says, hey, there's a naked woman running through Mars. Or there is a dinosaur skeleton on Mars. That's what Pareidolia Pete does. That's Scott C. Waring. You know who I'm talking about. This individual, I reported earlier in the week, was someone who was educated. He's a professor emeritus, William Romoser. He is an entomologist from the Ohio University areas. And the professor put out a news release, right? Said, hey, you pencil pushers over at NASA who are trying to fuck everybody over for their tax money, you kind of missed that your stink-ass rover apparently got a bunch of pictures of insects and some lizards. Not the reptilian kind, but just regular-ass fucking lizards that we see on the planet Earth. That came out in a news release, right? Because he even wrote a paper about that shit. It turns out that this article states this: University deletes bizarre press release that claimed alien insects live on Mars. Why? Why would you delete that? I mean, it's bringing you a shitload of fame. I mean, this isn't some Johnny come lately. This isn't someone who just fell off the turnip truck like our buddy Scott C. Waring. This is someone who has studied insects the majority of his fucking career. And he's teaching at your university. You let him teach there. Why would you delete it? What are you going to delete him next? Are you going to pull a Lazar on him? You're going to delete his history at the University of Ohio because he says it was a fucking cockroach on Mars? What's wrong with you guys? The article that I linked in the description, actually, it's not even coming from a website on the side of the U.S. It's coming from the Metro UK. And it has a link to where you can actually read the paper that Romusser published regarding this particular situation. So you can go in right now to the description, click on it, and read his paper on it. I mean, the guy went as far as writing a paper. And here's why I think that the University of Ohio can go suck sweaty balls. You can quote me on that. So we know he was an entomology professor at the university, but he was there for 45 years. He co-founded the Tropical Disease Institute at the university. He spent 20 years as a visiting vector-borne disease researcher for the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Disease. The guy does not sound like a rubber dicker, not in any way. Between 1973 and 1998, Romusser authored and co-authored 4 editions of a widely used textbook called The Science of Entomology. So what's going on here? Is a university saying that they had a crackpot working for them for 45 years and they never once had an indication that he was fucking crazy? How can you take the work of a tenured professor, 45 fucking years, you're tenured. How can you take the work of that professor who has so many credits to his career and tell him to fuck off? Just because you're getting a little more attention than you honestly deserve. Fuck, he probably is bringing in, there's probably a bunch of high school students right now thinking about signing up, getting that entrance exam done for the University of Ohio because there's a bug professor on there that says there's bugs on Mars. And I want to get closer to him to look at his research, see what kind of evidence he really has. Stop fucking around. University of Ohio, you are completely and thoroughly wrong to treat someone with this history, this knowledge, someone that you've been paying for 45 fucking years. And that's the part that kills. I mean, take away everything else. Take away everything he did outside of teaching at the fucking school for 45 years. You just wronged him in the worst way. You took his 45 years and told him to shove it up his ass and take a fucking hike. Publicly to the world. And when I say the world, the UK is reporting on it. So, what do you think? You've embarrassed the guy. If he's a rubber dicker and he's crazy and he's, posting about freaking insects on Mars, history will take care of him. But you don't need to degrade him by taking all that time that he spent at your place teaching kids and then taking everything he did for you and telling him to shove it up his ass. That's just ridiculous. It just makes no sense to me that they would do something like that. It's wrong. Plain and simply. Green Man is on. And by the way, he's actually not even addressing me. He's addressing Gooter. This is what happens, right? So the people that come on to listen, they get more props than the actual fucking host. There you go, Gooter. Apparently, you've got more fans than I do. That was my rant for today. This is my rant, basically. And these are the stories that are... They're just wrong beyond belief. They make no sense. They really don't. And it's pretty sad. Both stories are just... Well, actually, all three stories, to be honest. There, Greenman says, hello, Manny. Well, thanks. Thank you. It really is pretty sad on all facets. All three stories. I had two stories, but, I had to get that recap. Thanks to Professor T regarding the BS for that stupid buoyancy robot that NASA is talking about. What a waste of fucking money. What a waste of life. What a waste of brain power. It's just too, I don't know, it's just too completely ridiculous. It just angers me in so many levels. Oh, by the way, Agreement, you don't want to say hello to Bugs. I'm sure you can hear him in between my words snoring in the background, but thankfully, I've been praying to the gods all day today that this didn't happen. He's kept his gas to a minimum. I don't even smell it at all, thank goodness. But I'm sure that means that after the podcast, I'm fucked. That's the end of the podcast. We'll have one more tomorrow, and then Thursday, like I said, I'm going to put together a bunch of interviews and try to chain them up into like fucking hours of mind-blowing numbness so that you guys can listen to it, and please don't complain about it because I ain't trying to hear that shit. Here's the last song. Get your glow sticks. Get ready to gyrate at your desk at work, in the toilets, in your car. And don't be afraid to let people know you listen to the podcast. It's okay. Have some pride. I do.